Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for tuning in as I provide our latest COVID-19 update. As we have all heard, we are continuing to see the number of cases increase across the U.S. state and within our community. At this time, there are now 18 confirmed COVID-19 cases in our city, compared to the 3 cases confirmed last week. Our health department continues to navigate the various guidelines that seem to be changing frequently. They are adhering to the CDC and state DPH guidelines for persons with COVID-19 under home isolation and the recommendation of all positive cases and those with close contacts to remain under quarantine for 14 days. This 14-day quarantine is important also for anyone arriving in the city from hotspots like Florida and New York. Again, my thanks to our Health Director, Frank Giacalone, and his staff for their hard work in investigating, tracking, and following up on all of these cases. Their enforcement and monitoring of cases and those in quarantine in our city helps to minimize our exposure. I know you have heard this hundreds of times by now, but it is critical as we wait for this surge and the impact of this virus on our community. Please stay home, except for essential trips and exercise, and adhere to the critical social distancing protocol. We know this is the only way to stop the spread of COVID-19. If you or a family member is sick or not feeling well and may be exhibiting the main symptoms of COVID-19, fever, coughing, shortness of breath, please call your health provider for direction. Do not go to NHS or urgent care or your primary care physician without calling first. You do not want to potentially infect an office or site or waste PPEs, critical protective equipment for our health workers. This virus is highly contagious and over 10 times more deadly than the flu. In many cases, a person may be afflicted with the disease and be asymptomatic or show only mild symptoms. It can spread quickly and unknowingly. Many will recover from the virus, but the older population and those with existing health conditions are highly susceptible to this disease and highly vulnerable. We are also seeing the impact of this virus on all ages now. I know many are learning of a family member, friend, co-worker, or acquaintance that has tested positive. Testing continues to be limited and efforts continue to expand testing, but it is still not enough. As more testing occurs, we will see a continued rise in confirmed cases. The state of Massachusetts expects a surge of cases in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and this is the critical point where we can limit the spread of these cases in our community. I repeat, this is the time where we can limit the spread of cases in our community. Please remember, you could be a carrier of the virus and have no symptoms and infect others who may get very ill and potentially die. We have to slow the spread of this virus, and our job is to help buy ourselves more time and prevent our healthcare system from becoming overwhelmed. This is why we still have lots of work to do, and much of that involves critical social distancing. Parents and teens, I'm talking directly to you now. I know this is probably one of the hardest things ever asked, to stay home for weeks on end, balancing working at home, remote learning with your children, and staying safe and healthy. I have pleaded with the community and especially teens to take this pandemic very seriously. People are dying. The virus lives for extended times on surfaces, which is why we close the playgrounds. Yet kids continue to gather for games, forcing us to remove basketball hoops and backboards from Cashman Park and Ken Street. I also threatened to close the rail trail. There are teens using ball fields, hopping the fence at the closed skate park, and congregating in groups. We have noticed some improvements, but there still needs to be greater compliance. I'm pleading with you. We have also fielded many complaints this past weekend about Plum Island, with crowds, including out-of-state visitors. We currently are restricting access to residents only and have closed the North Point parking lot. We had hoped to coordinate our efforts with Newbury, but I understand that they have opted to wait for an order from the governor to close the beaches. We would like to keep the beaches open, especially as the weather improves, for residents to walk and exercise. But we need everyone to comply with social distancing. It is simple in thought and action. People need to be 6 feet apart from one another to help prevent the spread of this virus. We need to respect this and stay away from each other. On a positive note, my warning to close the rail trail, coupled with people paying more attention to social distancing, has helped somewhat. In keeping with this, I am redirecting more animal control time on the trail to help with compliance in social distancing. We have noticed improvements, but I'm still pleading with you for greater compliance. This is a critical time period. I'm also pleased to report that Market Basket has made some drastic improvements in their procedures over the past weekend based on our demand to adhere to the state guidelines for operating. Today, they also began limiting the numbers of shoppers now being admitted. Thank you also to everyone for stopping the use of reusable bags for grocery shopping and using paper bags instead. We continue to monitor this crisis situation and receive guidance from the state. We have an active line of communication with the executive office and are in constant contact with the governor, lieutenant governor, and state agencies. As we take direction and coordinate with the state, we will make the best decisions possible, always keeping in mind our priority, the health, safety, and well-being of the citizens of Newburyport. Governor Baker extended the shutdown of non-essential businesses and a stay-at-home advisory until May 4th, as the state braces for an expected surge in COVID-19 cases. The order, which was scheduled to expire April 7th, is necessary to prevent the further spread of COVID-19 and ensure the state is prepared with sufficient resources for this outbreak. He also extended the ban of public gatherings to not more than 10 people, and a new directive prohibiting hotels and short-term rentals, such as Airbnb and HomeAway, from booking for vacation or leisure purposes. The closure of the state school buildings and non-emergency daycare centers will remain in effect at least until May 4th. This week, I was on a call with the governor's office, mayors, and town managers on priorities, including a major focus on procurement of needed supplies. 28,000 masks and gloves have arrived, and hopefully 1,000 ventilators later this week. We can also be thankful to Robert Kraft for the use of the Patriots plane that flew to China to pick up desperately needed PPEs that was scheduled to arrive in Logan today. At this time, I would like to thank all of our volunteers who have worked to raise funds and provide supplies for Anna Jake's Hospital, healthcare workers, and our first responders. A special thank you goes out to City Councilor Byron Lane for your generous efforts in securing masks for AJH and first responders. The state is also working with medical schools on accelerating graduation of medical students, so these students can join the needed ranks of our strained healthcare workers. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, is also allowing 75% of all activities related to COVID-19 emergencies to be reimbursable at the state level and therefore at the city level. We continue to have weekly calls and direct contact with Anna Jake's Hospital regarding their current status on positive cases and preparedness. Please see their website for additional information. They posted a letter to the community earlier this week, which I encourage you to read. The Small Business Administration is also rolling out low-interest loans and supports for businesses. The Chamber of Commerce has sent out an email to all businesses with information, FAQs, and applications to apply for assistance. The information will be posted on the Chamber as well as the city website. Our Senator, Diana DiZoglio, and our State Representative, Jim Kelcourse, are offering support to help businesses navigate this relief process. Superintendent Sean Gallagher and the district leadership team continue to work diligently to increase supports and resources for teachers, students, and families. With the extended closure of schools, the schools are adding more structure to remote learning. I continue to hear remarkable stories about our teachers and their creative remote connections with students. We are so fortunate to have such committed and passionate teachers. But please remember, many of our teachers are educating students from home while at the same time taking care of their own children. Your local government continues to function under a state of emergency. City Hall and city facilities will remain closed to the public, including the library, Emma Andrews, Youth Services, and the Senior Community Center, as well as all in-person public meetings and all gatherings in public buildings. They will continue to be suspended. Meals on Wheels continues to operate out of the Senior Center, and requests for the program is increasing. We continue working with our Neighbors Table to provide food for our families in need. Orders may be taken online with curbside designated pickups or Thursday mornings at the Knockmolin School. The Salvation Army and several churches are offering meal programs. See Newburyport Connected on our website for additional resources. And please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us if you are in need of assistance. The legislature is working on rentals and mortgage assistance and prohibiting evictions and foreclosures at this time. We should have more information on this shortly, but I am asking landlords and property owners to show compassion as thousands of people are out of work or furloughed. Our public servants continue to serve our community in this difficult time. We have taken measures to minimize the risk of our employees. In addition to minimum staffing, we set up our office employees to continue working remotely. We are encouraging residents to utilize our online services, but can accommodate urgent needs in person by appointment. We adjusted shift schedules to ensure that our critical infrastructure, including the water plant and wastewater treatment facility, are adequately staffed. with additional contingency plans. This allows greater flexibility for our employees, many of which are sharing in the care of children now at home, or for elderly parents or relatives. Finally, our first responders continue to protect all residents and respond in all situations. Thank you to all city staff. We have fielded many calls regarding the hydrant flushing occurring. Why now? In reviewing the state mandate, if we did not complete the flushing now, it would place our water supply at risk. We really did not have a choice here. After the flushing of a hydrant in your neighborhood is completed, there will be brown water, but it will dissipate usually in a few hours. I also wanted to mention that there is a water main break on Longfellow that is a little more complicated than we anticipated, but crews are out there and will continue to be out there until the water main is fixed. Please be patient, those in that neighborhood. Changes had to be made to several of our waste programs due to COVID-19 and the length of time this virus lives. The yard waste facility will not open until after this surge, hopefully in May. I know yard work has been a task that many are engaged in, but disposal must wait. Trash and recycling must be in barrels. Trash must be in bags, and please, double bagged if someone in your home is positive for COVID-19. Recycling continues to be loose in the designated barrel only. There are 2 temporary dumpsters for trash and recycling only at 59 Low Street. It's for residents only. This is the site of the old Emergency Ops Center, not the National Guard building, and is across from the Knockmolin School. The site will be open from 12 to 3 Monday through Friday and will be staffed. Only household trash and recyclables are allowed. Our finance team is working on adopting programs to assist in payment programs for property taxes and other bills. We continue to post daily local updates and links to information on our urgent alert page, cityofnewburyport.com/COVID-19 updates. You can sign up to receive email alerts whenever the page is updated. We are also actively using Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to disseminate information. Links to all are found on the city homepage. Finally, we have staff available to answer your questions. You can call or email individual departments, or you may call my office. We are dedicated to keeping everyone informed, to connect those who need help and those who want to help, and encourage all to be neighborly and work together to minimize the coronavirus spread in our community. As I mentioned last week, we launched Newburyport Connected, a website for those in need of help during this unprecedented time and for those who'd like to help. It contains information and resources on where to find meals and other supports, and residents can sign up to be connected to those in need, as well as our local nonprofits and social service providers. Thank you to all the businesses and individuals who have already done so much to help others. There may be many others who will suffer economically during this pandemic. So please visit the website and reach out to a neighbor in need. Our local businesses are so critical to the fabric of our community, and our restaurants continue to operate through these tough times. Many have stepped up and provided free meals to our first responders and our health service providers and others in need. Our local grocers are keeping their shelves stocked, and their employees are playing a vital role in keeping our community nourished. Our health service workers and our first responders are on the front lines, leaving their own families at home to care for others and putting themselves in direct harm. I would also like to thank all the other workers across the city that continue to serve our community during these difficult times. Postal workers, bank employees, restaurant workers, pharmacies, trash collectors, and so many others that are providing essential services. Thank you. Please take time to acknowledge all of their efforts. We are all affected by this pandemic, adjusting our lives and work as we are all asked to make sacrifices for the greater good. Please understand we have reached a critical point in this pandemic, and as this surge is coming, we can reduce the number of cases, flatten the curve by staying home except for essentials. We can and will save lives. Please continue hand washing and hand sanitizing frequently and vigorously. Clean and disinfect all surfaces. Always cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze into a tissue or your elbow. Please help to do your part. Now is the time to focus on what's important in our lives, keeping our families, our friends, our neighbors, our community safe. Keep them in mind when you're making decisions. In the past, our parents and grandparents faced huge challenges with the Depression, great fires, and major wars. We still share those heroic stories. Let us add our selflessness and our positive response to that history and how our community came together to survive this unprecedented challenge. We can and will get through this together, but only if we stay away from each other right now. Thank you. Stay strong and be well.